What's up everybody, welcome back to another Ride and Dad channel video, or welcome if it's your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. You saw the thumbnail, so you obviously know what we're doing today, but it's time guys. We gotta get rid of these stock chrome big salad spoon of levers. They gotta go. We're doing it with the best. We're replacing it with some ASV. Let's roll the intro and get right into it.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a thing that you found.
All right, so these are the new levers. Come up close to you and show you guys what they look like. Now with these are the C5s. So there are two different style of levers. All the levers have their unbreakable, you could spring them back, and they're all adjustable, not just like a 3 or 4 clicks like the brake side of these metric bikes, but you could adjust them way in and way out with this dial because it just moves that screw or that kind of set pin right there. And you can get two different colors. You have two different pieces on this to change colors of, this part and this part. This part and this part. I went with gray for this, which we'll talk about in a second, and then I went with black for the dial. Now I was gonna go all black. The blue colors on all of the anodized stuff does not fit the MT07 blue color scheme. The MT07 blue is like a baby blue versus what the typical anodized part is like more of a royal blue or like a deep or a dark or like an ocean blue kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I didn't want to do blue, which I don't want to do blue on any part because it's just going to be a clash of different blues. So I did select gray. The reason I selected gray was, one, the bars are silver, and then the color scheme of the MT07 is like this. The Ice Storm color scheme is like this kind of, it's not 100% gray, but it's closer to gray than it is to white. I was hoping that these were going to be closer to gray than white, but as you could see, they are not. They have like a, I don't know how to describe it, like a dark-ish look to them. It's not gonna stick out that bad, and it's just a lever. It's not like it's like a purple all of a sudden in the scheme of all the other stuff. It's just a little weird, not weird, I guess. It's just a little different. So something to note for you guys if you're wanting to, get levers, but you guys can see it here against the gray and against this. Yeah, you can see this in the camera. They're just not the same, but it's whatever. They are, like I said, these are 2 fingers. They're the short ones. They have regular and short style. We did the short because that's the whole reason that you should replace levers. And yes, you should always be grabbing the clutch and the brake levers with only the first 2 fingers. It's just better control, better maneuverability, and a more of a finesse on the levers. So the other good part about this is on the stock bikes, they have an adjustable brake, although it is only, what, 4? It is only 4 clicks adjustable, so it's just 4 and then it goes right back to the first setting. Not only are these fully adjustable, but you actually get an adjustable lever for the clutch side as well. The clutch does not have that, so it's just stuck at one length. So huge benefit having a adjustable clutch. So the first thing we got to do to replace this is to back the clutch cable all the way out. So adjust it so there's no tension on this lever at all. That way when we take this out at the lever side, we'll actually have space. We're not going to damage the clutch cable, and we're actually going to be able to do it because otherwise you're never going to be able to pull it with all that tension on the clutch pack. So I'm going to move you guys over to there. It's going to require a 12 millimeter wrench, or a 12 millimeter wrench to adjust the clutch cable on that side. When we are replacing this, we are going to go ahead and lube a little bit of the clutch cable itself. I'll show you guys how I do that as well because it's a good thing to do. Now, this bike doesn't need it. It's only got like 500 miles on it right now, but it's a good thing to do every, once in a while, periodically. I've gotten caught in the rain a few times with this bike already, so just something good to do, and we already have the levers off, so why not do it now? So move the camera, clutch cable, levers, let's go. All right, so the clutch side, this is kind of for final, like a fine adjustments. We're not gonna mess with that. It's a little bit backed out now. We're gonna leave it a little bit backed out. We don't wanna put it more or less because we wanna have that adjustability both in and out for the fine adjustability at the final say of this. This side, they're all 10 millimeter bolt or nuts on the underside. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that and pop the clutch side lever off. Once you remove the actual lever, you'll see that this is kind of like almost, I don't know what to call it, but like a banjo-y fitting or whatever. Can go ahead and remove that. Make sure that it doesn't get sucked all the way back up in there. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to get out. Now they do make actual pieces, like tools to do this easier. And I did purchase one a very long time ago. No idea where it went because I never had to use it. We're just gonna try, actually, we're gonna grab a paper towel to put around it so we don't get it everywhere, which inevitably is probably gonna happen anyway. But just grab a, what I'm using is Motion Pro cable lube. We're just gonna try to feed a little bit kind of into, put the paper towel where you can see it, hopefully. Just a little bit into there, just barely squeeze this. Kind of work it into there a little bit. Like I said, this bike is new still, so it didn't necessarily need this, but when you got it out, it's definitely not a bad idea to do this already, and it'll work itself down a little bit through the cable as time goes on, but at least we did that part now. All right, once you did that, go ahead and grab the fitting. It's the new lever. You'll put that large piece in there. Make sure you get that in there. Push or rotate the cable so that the cable fits in that piece. And then there is a clutch safety kind of sensor there. It's a little pin. Make sure that you don't just shear that off when you put the new lever in. So make sure you push the lever or push that back, and I'll insert a picture now. I'll just grab one so I don't have to move the camera because it really doesn't benefit you guys to see that, but I will grab a picture of it and put it in there. Just make sure you push that nub back when you're installing the new levers, or any levers really, I guess. And again, if your bike is older, or if there's no grease left, or you've never done this and you got, 700, 800, or 7,000, 8,000 miles on your bike, this is a great time to lube up with some grease, all the internals there, but there's still a lot there from factory on this bike, so I'm not gonna put too much because you definitely can't have too much. Put the stock bolt back in, put the stock nut back on. Make sure not to over tighten this. If you over tighten it, you're gonna wind up cinching that in there and you'll barely have any free movement of the lever. You do not have to use Loctite on these. They are Nylock nuts. They're locking nuts. And you don't use thread locker on those. And you'll see when you tighten it too much, there's just zero free play on it. You kind of go in stages, tighten it a little bit, check the lever, tighten it a little bit, check the lever. All right, now it's time to readjust the clutch cable. So basically we're gonna put it back. You already saw how I did that earlier. We're gonna put it back so that when we are putting a little bit of tension on this, we have just about nickel's width, maybe 2 nickels width of free play. Yes, there is a specification for each bike of actual, inch free play or centimeter, whatever they put it in, millimeter, I think. I'm not worried about that right now because I've done so many clutch cables that I understand what it should feel like and I understand what my preference is. So if you are concerned about that, definitely reference your manufacturer paperwork for your bike. But you'll see when we adjust the final free play, because we'll wind up adjusting it here to make it just kind of perfect. But you just want to have a little bit of free play, that way there's no constant tension on the clutch, because that's a great way to burn up your clutch and just have to replace parts. And also impact your ride quality, because if your clutch is constantly having tension on there, not going to be the best ride possible. All right, so now that we've adjusted it at the actual basket, right, we're gonna come back to the lever and just triple check it, which is what I was doing. I was adjusting it, coming back here, adjusting it. So you're gonna put a little bit of tension, not a ton, you don't wanna yank on this, but just make sure that you kind of take up a little bit of the slack. And what you want is that first kind of initial pull for that clutch lever to be moving this cable, or not the cable itself, I guess technically, but the cable shroud, or the housing for the cable. It's this piece, right? Because the cable is inside of that. Move that about a nickel and a half, maybe 2 nickels, something around there. That's kind of a good rule of thumb for clutch. You just don't want to have that, you know, kind of completely put tension on the clutch basket and the clutch itself, right? So just a little bit, right? And then as soon as it's there, we can adjust it. Now, over time, when this clutch cable inevitably stretches a tiny bit over, you know, months and months, miles and miles of use, that's when it's time to kind of use this, and we can back that out a little bit without having to adjust that. Or if for whatever reason we think it's a little bit too tight when we're riding and we wind up realizing that we adjusted it poorly, just back that in a little bit, this kind of fine adjustment screw. It'll take tension off of there and move this in a little bit to give you even more free play. Now, as the rider, you can choose to adjust this part wherever you want. The more you rotate it this way, see that little kind of set screw coming out? Now the lever is really far away. You adjust it way more in. Now the lever is super close. All right, pull stays the same. The only thing I will say while adjusting specifically the clutch side is make absolute sure that when you, no matter how, like if you have it in a little bit, make sure that you are able to get, like this feels great on my fingers, but I can feel right now I have not even come close to taking care of the full clutch, you know, pulling the clutch in and activating it. I have not even come close to that. It's starting around here, and that is not enough distance. So for me, I already know I have to make it a little bit farther forward. So that's something to test out. If you want to put your bike in neutral, you know, in the driveway or the road right outside the house, neutral first gear, and just play around with the clutch, make sure that everything is good and it doesn't move. Obviously, when you pull the clutch, if you put it in first, just don't give it any gas and just start to let out until you feel where the clutch grabs, and then you'll know how much kind of leeway you have between where it's fully pulled in and, you know, when the clutch starts actually engaging. So that's something you're gonna have to adjust, you know, kind of rider preference and bike specific, and while you're on the road, or not on the road, but while the bike is running and you actually, you know, can test that out. Brake side, much easier, 0 adjustments besides the lever itself, so let's go on that side. All right, so brake lever is pretty much the same thing. Does have a flat head on the top. You need to engage that, but go ahead and start loosening it. And be careful, there is a spring in there. Should have told you that a minute ago, but just be careful that, you know, engage it. And also similar, there's your brake master cylinder activation right there. You don't want to screw that up, dent it, bang it around, whatever. So grab your new lever. And on this brake side, I actually am gonna put just a hair bit of grease. That was actually a little bit too much. I'm gonna have to take that off. Inside there, because it is a little dry. for my liking. Would like there to be a little bit more lubrication up there. There's still a little bit of grease on the screw, so I'm going to leave that alone. And this brake side screw does actually thread into the bottom post also. The bolt, or the nut on the bottom, is just kind of like a, almost like a fail-safe. And something is not lined up there. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that this is a good tightness. We don't have too much friction down, and then we'll put the bolt on. Or the nut. Damn. All right, all done. Rider preference, adjust the lever. Just make sure, obviously, you have enough pull that you can activate the brakes fully, you know, without interfering with anything. All done. All right, so the levers are done. They look cool, they feel nice. Again, I gotta do some fine tuning before I go out for my morning ride here in a little bit and see exactly where I like them, but it's nice having only 2-finger ones. That way the rest of it doesn't kind of wholly hit your fingers and mash your knuckles in, and it also just allows you to engage them a little bit better. These are not a lighter pull lever for the clutch or the brake, most of the clutch obviously. In fact, actually, because they are shorter, they have a more felt, they feel like they require more leverage on them a little bit. Nothing crazy, nothing unmanageable. I think anybody could do it. I think my mom, even with bad arthritis, can do it. Not an issue at all. They look good. ASV has a great warranty. They've been around forever. They actually I just got an email this morning, right before I started filming this video, that they now have 2026 model levers on their site, at least for Yamahas, which is crazy because we're in September of 2025. But yeah, so ASV, I'm sure they have a lever for your bike if you're looking for it. Shorty levers are the way to go, in my opinion. You should always be gripping the levers, grabbing the levers with the first 2 fingers anyway. Little peace signs, little raptor talon claws. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the levers. Let me know if you don't like ASV or if you like another company better for whatever reason. Bike is coming along. We got some big plans for it. Exhaust should be coming down the line of videos pretty soon. Got some other stuff coming. I'm looking at some stuff in boxes and everything. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something. I don't know. Either way, hopefully it was entertaining. Thank you guys very much for watching. Check out the description for everything, all the links, playlists, coupons, products, everything. Thank you guys very much for watching. Until the next time, ride safe, have fun. Dad out.